I've always been a skeptic. Ghosts, aliens, monsters. They were all just stories to me. But after what I experienced in the Southwest, my perspective on the unknown has been forever altered. I was on a road trip with my best friend, Jake. We had decided to take our detour through the Navajo reservation in Arizona, mainly because of the scenic beauty and the rich history of the area. We had heard these tales of skinwalkers, but we laughed them off. They were just myths, right? Our first day on the reservation was uneventful. We visited the few local spots, interacted with some of the locals, and set up camp near the canyon. As night fell, we sat around our campfire, sharing stories and enjoying the serenity of the desert. Around midnight, Jake decided to turn in. I stayed up, mesmerized by the stars. The Milky Way stretched across the sky, and I felt a profound sense of peace. That is, until I heard it. A low guttural growl echoed through the canyon. I froze, thinking it might just be like a coyote or a mountain lion. But then, I heard a voice. It was distorted, as if someone was speaking through a broken radio. But it was unmistakably Jake's voice. "Come here." It beckoned. Confused, I turned to our tent. Jake was sound asleep. The voice called out again, this time from the opposite direction. I grabbed a flashlight and I shined it towards the source. What I saw will haunt me forever. Standing on the ridge was a figure. It looked like a man, but its limbs, they were elongated, and its eyes glowed this sickly yellow. It wore tattered clothing, and its skin was molten gray. But the most disturbing part was its face. It was Jake's face. I stumbled back, my heart racing. The creature mimicked Jake's voice again. "Come here." It took a few steps forward, towards me, its movements jerky and unnatural. Suddenly I felt a sharp pain on my arm. Looking down, I saw a deep scratch, blood oozing out. The creature had marked me. I bolted to the tent, shaking Jake awake. "We need to go, now," I hissed. As we sped away in our car, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The creature stood in the middle of the road, watching us, its yellow eyes glowing in the darkness. We didn't stop driving until we reached the nearest town. We checked in a motel, and I spent the rest of the night researching these skinwalkers. The legend said they were witches who could take the form of an animal or people, using their voice to lure their victims. The next few nights were restless. I'd wake up to the same distorted voice calling my name, and the scratch on my arm seemed to burn and throb. It was clear that this creature had not only marked me, but was now haunting me by my every move. Jake and I decided to consult some of the local Navajo elders. He told us that interacting with the skinwalker, I had inadvertently invited it to my life. The only way to rid myself of this torment was to confront it and perform a purification ritual. With heavy hearts, we returned to the reservation. The confrontation with the skinwalker was terrifying, but with the elders' guidance, we managed to complete this ritual. The haunting ceased, but the scars, both physical and emotional, remain. The Southwest is beautiful, but it holds secrets that are beyond comprehension. And I'll never step foot on the Navajo reservation again. To all of you reading this, please be careful when you adventure into unknown territories. Some legends are rooted in truth, and some nightmares are very, very real. About 2 months ago, my husband, 34 male, and I, 29 female, were staying in a camper on my friend's property in northern Wisconsin. One night I wasn't feeling very well, so I went to lay down in the camper and promptly fell asleep. A few hours later, around 3 a.m., I suddenly woke up and bolted out the door and started projectile vomiting outside of my window. My husband called out and asked if I was okay. I managed to say yeah in between rounds. When I finally finished, I felt like I was okay to go back in and lay down. I spit a few more times to get rid of that taste, and as I looked up, there was a face about 3 feet in front of me in the darkness. I stared at it, and it at me. I was petrified. I couldn't move, but I was also afraid to take my eyes off of it. I slowly started moving my head up, down, side to side, and try to get a better angle or a closer look. And as I did so, it began to mimic my every move. There we were, in the darkness of the forest, bobbing up, down, back, forth slowly, leaning closer and closer to one another as we tried to figure each other out. I stared straight into its cold, hollowed eyes. I couldn't look away in fear of what would happen if I did. It stared back at me, almost as if it didn't know what I was either. It was too dark to make out any features of the face, but the shape was a human face. But what I could see of the body from behind the truck, it just looked like it was hunched over and distorted. We stayed that way for what felt like forever, until I finally managed to call out, "Babe." "Yeah," my husband responded. "There's something out here," I said, only slightly raising my voice. "What?" he asked. I don't know. Some kind of animal? I'm not sure, but I'm afraid to move. It's just watching me," I whispered almost to myself. He opened the door of the camper and looked out into the darkness. "Where?" he asked, unable to see what I was seeing. "It's right in front of me, just watching," I told him, bewildered that he couldn't see it. He grabbed a flashlight and shined it in front of me, and it was gone. There was nothing there. I never even saw it leave. I kept its cold, dead gaze the entire time. How could it not be there? I'm still very confused by the interaction. I know it was there. I saw it. It wasn't a dream. And I know I'm not hallucinating. Can anybody tell me what they think this was? Edit. Just to respond to a few of the comments. I don't drink and I don't do drugs, so I was not under the influence. I don't remember all of the details because I couldn't see very well. But here's what I got. I couldn't tell how tall it was, because from what I could see, it looked hunched over and disfigured. I don't think it had any fur. It was pale in color, but once again it was dark, so I'm not sure what color it was. It had big, black, soulless eyes, like looking straight into a void. It looked like it could have possibly had sharp, jagged teeth, and I don't remember a nose at all. Hope this description helps. Maybe it wasn't a skinwalker, because I guess they don't leave Navajo land, but it was really scary. I should also mention that where I was, in the woods of Wisconsin, was not too far from the Hannahville Indian Reservation in Menominee County, MI. But again, not Navajo, so I'm not sure what it was. If you're reading this, congratulations. I am probably dead, or worse. My name is Daniel, and I own quite a bit of land up in the Appalachian Mountains. It was left to me by my great aunt. So far in the years I've lived there, Paranormal and downright disturbing things have been happening to me. People told me to just leave or report it. Like I've never done that before. To them, I'm just that young guy that went crazy a little too early. It bothers me that normal people have no idea what goes on up here. All alone. So my first encounter with them, I didn't know how to deal with them. Heck, I didn't even know what they were even called until recently. It's important, or at least it's important to me, that some of the tricks I've learned throughout these 3 years I've lived up here could be used for somebody else. My second, or maybe third time, I was stalked by a skinwalker. It felt like I was walking in circles. I had a trail cam with an SD card pretty deep in the woods, but when I tried to walk back to the cabin, I kept passing that camera. I was effectively walking in circles. This went on for hours. The sun was setting soon, and I was quite thirsty at the time, as I remember. I sat up against the tree my camera was mounted to and started softly crying. It was watching me, I guess waiting for me to fall dead. I hit myself in desperation a few times, trying to think. I sat up and took a very deep breath, wiped the water from my eyes, and it dawned on me. It's gotta be messing with my equilibrium. I have to be off balance. There's no way that it's anything else. Teleportation in hindsight sounded stupid, but I could still walk, but my depth perception was slightly off. All I had to do was tilt my head as far as it would go, into my shoulder, and walk back to my cabin. My ear was pressed up against my shoulder, but even with one ear, I could still hear how anxious this creature sounded, pacing in the woods, hoping I didn't get away. Once I made it inside of the cabin, I didn't come out for a couple of days for safe measures. Another trick that they know is mimicking animals. I found that they like coyotes a lot. I used to coyote hunt quite a bit back in the day, back when I was at home, but never up here in the mountains. I saw in a couple of my deer cameras that it looked like, right after I left my camera, a coyote, it would follow me for a while, if not all the way home. I had to stop that real quick and set out some snares. All a snare would and could do is jam the coyote's leg into the mechanism until a button was pressed, and the thing would unlock. I set out a couple of them, but also rubbed white ash on all of the traps. And sure enough, the next time I started walking back to my camera, I hear a sound of one of them going off. I quickly ran back to where I had laid it, gun drawn, and all that was left was 3 separate bent up pieces and the subtle scent of burning hair in the air. Every time I checked the camera after that, a coyote with a nasty burn scar on its leg would stop where the camera was mounted and turned around and walked back into the brush. And lastly, do not engage in any type of combat with them. Warding them off is one thing, but actively hunting them is a mistake. I wish I would have known that sooner. I had 2 buddies back in town I used to tell my stories to. Alcohol loosens the lips. Their names were James and Cole. I'm pretty sure they were cousins, but I never asked. Thinking about it now, I wish I would have gotten to know them a little bit better. Long story short, they're dead and I'm dying. This morning, they came and pounded on my door, insisting that we hunt for these skinwalkers. I told them that it was a very bad idea, but they even took the liberty of buying silver bullets. They told me how much they cost, but I can't remember right now. I finally caved, and we prepared all day. We first started making a large amount of white ash, cleaning our guns. Heck, they even packed MREs and a special high-dollar spotlight. We set off right after the sun went down. We went 3 hours in when disaster struck. We're all sitting around a tree. I could tell these skinwalkers were watching us. They're all around us, Multiple. I'm frantically scanning everything with my spotlight, not even realizing that Cole wasn't with us anymore. I asked James where he was, but he didn't really seem very nervous at all, and told me that he may have had to go pee. I turned back to face my front, and there, I see Cole. He's a good distance out, but something just wasn't right. He was contorting in ways that a human never could. I started to turn around to ask James what we should do, but halfway around, I heard James gutturally breathing, like his lungs were filling with blood. I couldn't stand to be there anymore, and I booked it back to the cabin. The forest seemed like it was just laughing at me in my desperation to run home. I knocked my flashlight running, and it was slowly getting dimmer and dimmer. I eventually had to ditch it and use some flares Cole and James brought. I pulled the top off and struck it against a tree, and the red flame lit up the surrounding forest. There were so many of them. 10, 20, probably more. But as luck would have it, they never attacked me. I could see the cabin and flung the door open and shut it right behind me. I ran upstairs into the bedroom and quickly got into the old wooden closet where I am typing this. I don't hear them, but they're outside of my house. Unfortunately, I did end up getting clawed, or maybe bitten. It's not a terrible wound, but it's bleeding black. If you can send help, please do. I really need it. This time. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you would like more Skinwalker stories, make sure to let me know down in the comment section. Make sure to like, comment, and if you're new to this channel and you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe. We're doing nothing but growing. If you would like, make sure to check out the channel members section, where I post bonus content, bloopers, stuff like that. Also, make sure to check out the links in the description, like my Twitter, my Instagram. Everything like that is in there, including my Gmail if you would like to submit a story. I would love to tell some subscriber stories. But other than that, stay safe, stay scary, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to check out Thursday's video. I've got a special guest. You won't believe who I got. Okay, bye.